Welcome, fearless dreamers. This is new episode of the Unstoppable Immigrant podcast. I am Martina, your host and pilot, and today I have a special guest, Ada da Silva. She's taking us to an amazing journey to Cuba, filled with laughter, lessons, and artistic energy. Buckle up, we are taking off.
Trust yourself. The more you believe in yourself, that's when you're going to make it. If this is your style, stick to your style.
You will be featured in a new Netflix series. So please tell us more. I'm curious. Listeners are curious. We all want to know. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm honored to have you here and listen to your story. So please, Ada, tell to our listeners, where in Cuba are you from?
I was born in Havana, Cuba. Beautiful city full of vibrant people, incredible energy, lots of art, and lots of music.
Sounds like so much fun. How was it to grow up there?
I didn't grow up there. I was born there. I was there till about 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time I immigrated to the United States, when I was 6 years old with my parents. Mm-hmm. Growing up there was a beautiful experience. I mean, I remember being very amongst the community. I lived in a beautiful neighborhood where arts and culture and sculptures are really everywhere. Mm-hmm. Vividly, I remember always walking in the parks with my family. I don't know if you've ever been to Havana. There's beautiful parks and these beautiful avenues full of tree-lined streets and marbled pavement. It's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful city to have been born and shortly grew up in, right?
Amazing. Do you have any memories before you moved out? How was it to be with your friends and listen to music and just grow up there?
I remember more vividly my vacations with my family. I had a lot of family in Cuba. Mm-hmm. I have 12 cousins. So I remember as a little girl always going to our family vacation beach house. Mm-hmm. So imagine it was 12 cousins. So all of us would always go together to the beaches. That's really my vivid memories from Cuba, is always being in that large family environment and running around in the beaches and in the sinkholes and the cenotes. Mm-hmm. Those are the best. Jumping in as a little girl into the cenotes and running around in the beach house with my cousins.
That sounds so awesome. I love it. And you said that you then immigrated with your family at the age of 6 to United States, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any recollection why your parents decided to make that move?
Oh, absolutely. So my grandmother, from my father's side, my father's an only son, so my grandmother, there was a period of time in Cuba where you were allowed to leave if you were gay. They let out all of the people from the jails, and they considered gay people criminals. So my grandmother at the time had just divorced my grandfather, and she said, hey, yeah, well, I'm gay, so she left in order to grant the opportunity for my father to be able to leave the country. So she left to New York City, immigrated without him, left him in Havana. She left to New York and built her life, and that's where my father basically took about almost 20 years. He didn't see his mother because the process of by the time she arrived to Ellis Island in New York and actually processed the paperwork in order to get my father to the United States, right, through the Cuban Reunification Act, it was a 20-year long period. Wow. So my father was alone, essentially. And by the time that paperwork came to be, my father was already married, and he had my brother and I.
Aww.
So
that's beautiful. I love how she did this huge sacrifice to change your parents' life and your life. It's beautiful.
It was a humongous sacrifice, and I don't think many people understand how difficult it is for a mother to leave their child only because there was that one glimpse of hope where she said, I don't care if I'm labeled gay or whatever it is. I'm leaving this country and I'm going to provide my son a better life. That was huge. And my father thanks her very much for doing that. As I thank my father for leaving behind the beautiful family and life that we had in Cuba in order to give my brother and I that opportunity. Because that's really the only reason my father accepted that visa to leave the country was because my brother and I he wanted better opportunities for his children. And I really do believe like that is the immigrant story, right? We always want a better life for our children. So that's what my father did. He literally gave everything, literally left everything behind. At the time when we accepted the visa in Cuba, right, the American visa to leave, you were labeled a gusano. So that means a worm. So the communist government would come in and they would literally ransack your home, take everything from you, clear your bank accounts, take away your cars, everything. You would be left with nothing. And that's how you left the country.
Oh my
with
God.
Nothing. So, yeah, I mean, with something, given that as a Cuban, you have a high level of education, right? So the one thing you do leave with is that.
Is knowledge.
Is your knowledge, right?
Amazing.
So you come to this new country and you have that knowledge, but you have to rebuild it from nothing, right? So my father, for example, had an economics degree. Well, what's an economics degree given that kind of economy, right? Right? So you're going from a closed economy to a capitalist economy, right? So it didn't need work. He needed to go back and study again. So he went back to school and he got to the United States. My mother was, she used to train in the Cuban Olympics. She used to train the ballerinas and the
that's beautiful.
And the gymnasts. So that was like her passion, right? You know, she more towards the arts, but again, she had a high level of education for that. And when she came to the United States, she had to start again from nothing, as we all did. But they worked and they did that. You know, my parents had that sacrifice so that my brother and I can be here and succeed the way we have, right? So to give us that opportunity, which is a beautiful thing. I think that a lot of immigrant families do often just for the simple purpose of giving their children a better opportunity at life.
Are your parents still alive?
Oh, yes.
Are they gonna watch this episode?
Yes, they are.
So let's thank them because this is a beautiful thing that you've done for your children and grandchildren. And yes, thank you for doing that.
Yes, I do thank my parents all the time, actually. It's one of the things that I constantly thank my dad. I'm like, Dad, thank you for convincing my mother because my mom had this beautiful community there. She had all her family right there in Cuba and Havana. To leave that, and it was just the four of us, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I. Nobody else. We didn't know anybody when we got to this country. So that was a lot. And my father convinced my mother to do it. So I'm always thankful, Dad. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. So you moved here at the age of 6. How was your English?
Non-existent. I don't think I remember. I didn't know the word hello. Like we weren't taught English.
So would you say that language barrier was probably one of the biggest struggles you had when you moved here to find friends and go to school and all that?
Oh, absolutely. And worse, I didn't move to Miami right away. I moved to California. Palmdale, California, which I don't think anybody spoke Spanish. So I was thrust in this school system where there was no ESOL like they have here in Miami. They didn't have English as a second language in the school system. So I just needed to kind of play in the playground, watch the cartoons, and that's how I learned English, the hard way.
The hard way, but you did it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while. From California, then we eventually did move to Miami. And here in the school system in Miami, they were actually really good because there was a separate program for students that were learning English as a second language. And funny enough, the level of education in Cuba was so far advanced to the American one.
Everybody says that. Everybody's surprised.
Yes. So I was actually placed a year in advance. So I graduated high school much earlier than my peers because of that. And I mean, the ESOL, the second language program, was excellent. I remember my brother and I learned the English so quickly that we won a trip to Disney World.
Oh.
Right? We were like 8 years old, and we went to Disney. We were like, over the moon, happy for that. So that was pretty incredible.
And besides English, do you think there were any other struggles that you remember from that period when you moved here?
Yes. I mean, in California, I remember, you literally arrive with nothing. And you're coming from Cuba where it's warm. And we were living next to the desert. I remember being freezing. Right? And my parents had to get a job. So, like, the first time, like, we had to, like, buy appropriate clothing and shoes and all of these things. When you literally have nothing. I don't remember struggling because I was too young, and my parents were always very good to kind of, like, make things, like, really nice. But I do remember being cold.
And that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I was little. That's what I remember, and not being able to communicate with my friends, right? Because I had no knowledge of the English language.
And was it easier later on with English to find friends?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It didn't take very long to learn English, and after that, I think my parents really embraced the American way of life, and they wanted me to grow up a little bit more American. I mean, of course, we always have our super Cuban roots. I mean, if you know Cubans, you understand what super Cuban means.
What does that mean? Tell us.
It's just, we're loud, we're expressive, we're emotional, right? Like everything we do, it's with our hands. It's yeah. So my parents are super amazing, and they're super Cuban in that sense, right?
Oh, I love
They're very expressive. You don't walk into a Cuban household and not hear what you could hear the neighbor, for example. Like if the neighbor's Cuban, like they're loud. They're very loud. And it's fun. It's just the way that's our culture.
You attended school in America. Do you have any fun story from that era of yours?
Oh, absolutely. High school was really fun, and it was particularly fun because I went to school with Pitbull. Yes, world famous Mr. 305 Pitbull. So I remember running into him in the hallways all the time, right? And never thinking he was going to be the international success he is today. But I mean, I remember him vividly, right? And he was a cool character. And then later on in the future, as his success grew, like he has a place in Key Largo, and I am often there as well. So I see him all the time. So now seeing him as like semi quasi neighbor, I go to all of his concerts. Wow. Every time he's in Miami, I am like front row. Like I'm always there enjoying his music. I know a lot of people that created the music really early on with him because they were all part of the same high school group. So it's fun to see all of those beatboxers kind of in the high school setting, and how they created those little moments there that you wouldn't think would grow anywhere. And all of these guys really grew into an incredible musical career.
Wow. I love how you support Cubans. Like, you guys are supporting each other. And all that.
Absolutely.
It's fabulous.
Cubans in all the community, all the Latin community, really. I think anybody who's an immigrant receives a level of support because we're special, right?
Yes, indeed.
Looking to create unforgettable moments in Miami, whether it's a romantic proposal, a dreamy picnic, or a special celebration, Maza events bring your vision to life. We handle every detail so you can simply show up and enjoy the magic. Book your experience today. Send us a DM on Instagram Maza_events or fill out the booking form in the show notes.
What lessons or strengths came from being an immigrant?
Adaptability. that is one thing that we can reinvent ourselves. We have a level of vision, I think, that gives us a certain power and a resilience that others just don't have.
Absolutely. I had a guest on this podcast, and she said being an immigrant is another skill set that should be in the resume. And I agree with that.
Yes, right. No, I mean, when else are you supposed to be so adaptable at life, right? And that's one thing being an immigrant does to you. You have to. You don't think about it, but you do. And then after you overcome that, you're like, wow. You look back and you're like, okay, wow, that was pretty amazing what I was able to do.
Absolutely.
Right? You just think and you move forward, and you have a vision and a path of where you want to go, and you just follow it. And I don't think you have much of a fear. There's nothing to go back to.
Exactly. With this being said, what is one key piece of advice you would give to new immigrants?
Enjoy your difference. Because you are different, embrace that. It's that flair, that love, that sense of community, that Latin vibe that we have that makes us so colorful and good, and it makes such a huge difference. So I would say embrace that level of colorfulness that we have, right? We're so enlightened by our culture, our music, our family, the love, the community, how we are able to build community. All of that is such a difference. So I would say embrace that difference because it makes you stronger.
Yes. So you moved from LA to Miami. Was it hard to adapt also to that difference?
Not LA, I moved from Palmdale, which was a very small town.
Sorry, Palmdale, yes.
It was really hard to adapt. I remember it was a lot harder for my parents to adapt to Miami than it was to adapt to in California. In California, my father had a cousin, so we had some kind of a little bit of community and some guidance. And when we got to Miami, we really didn't have anyone. But where my mom felt comfortable because she knew people who spoke the language here, and of course the climate.
Yeah, it's warm here, similar to Cuba.
But it was a lot harder in a sense that there was nobody here to help. So my parents really did once again need to start from nothing and work their way up.
But beautiful thing is that they were unity because it was two of them doing it together, which is a little bit easier versus if there's someone fighting for themselves. So it's beautiful that they did it together as a great team. So
yeah, nearly 50 years of marriage still going.
That's amazing. And living in Miami, what's the most bizarre thing you've seen here?
I was on a boat, and there was another boat next to me, and there's a guy wearing a suit, literally a suit, on one of those hydro boards. And he's like just going around in a suit on the hydro board with this level of confidence that I thought was incredible. And I'm looking at him going, that is awesome. That is the kind of confidence I need, right? Like, he's not afraid to fall in with a suit.
Wow.
So I thought that was hilarious. I actually captured that on video. It was great. I'm like, that's definitely the guy's coming off of his yacht on his hydro board in a suit. I'm like, yep, only in Miami.
I love that one. So we're gonna do a little funny pronunciation thing. Are you ready? I will show you this short little tongue twister, and please, if you could read it 3 times,
Okay.
and each time a little bit faster.
Okay.
Ready? Are you lista?
Double bubble bubbles double. Double bubble gum bubbles double. Double bubble gum bubbles double. Double bubble gum bubbles double.
That was pretty great, honestly. Very nice job. Wow. Do you still have any English word that gives you trouble to pronounce?
Oh yeah, there's many. But one that catches me every time is entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, every single person says that.
It is. That's a tongue twister.
That is tongue twister.
I don't know why they decided to. It's like, it's a beautiful word, right?
Yeah.
Like you use it all the time, and I'm always like, entrepreneur. It's.
I think because being an entrepreneur is already hard, why the word needs to be so hard too?
Right. Well, it goes hand in hand, right?
Yes, totally. But I remember this word, and by the way, again, a lot of guests say that, specifically
Really?
those who have businesses. They're like, "Why is this word so hard?" And then it's like I had to go to translator, the Google Translate, where the lady pronounced it, and it's like entrepreneur, and that's how people like entrepreneur. So that's how people.
Even then, I mean, I've been saying the word I don't know how many millions of times in my lifetime, right? I still can't get it right.
All right. And what is your wow, I've made it moment?
As an artist,
You can say in your immigrant journey or personal or as an artist.
well, it's kind of both, right? I think you've made it when you're able to be financially secure, right?
Yes.
So that's one level that I knew you can finally buy a home, and then you can buy a second home, and you can have a nice car, and you can go on vacation, right? Living the American dream, right? Of course, that took a lot of hard work. A lot of nights without partying. While my friends were out partying, I was working very, very hard. And as an artist, I think I made it when, like, I got my first big collector to purchase my art. That was amazing. And then when I would get calls from interior designers from like all over the world that they were staging specific places in these luxury homes to place my art. I mean, that's happened as far away as Australia. So that was like pretty incredible. And then when I get commissioned by like these ultra high net worth collectors, and they're like, I want to have this piece in this specific way for this particular location. Can you make it? Like, yes. Those are the moments that I'm like, okay, yes, my art is being very, very well received.
I'm so proud of you. These are huge achievements.
Thank you.
I do have one question for you before we dive into what you do. So you mentioned a little bit about like the financial stability. So how was it for you to witness starting from nothing to building yourself up to where you are today financially?
It's funny. I think at one point when I was like a teenager, I lived really well. My parents did okay, and they did a wonderful job of making sure I never had the answer. Was never no. It was always yes. I wanted this, I got it. Like, we went on vacations, we were very normal. One day I kind of looked around and I was like, hey, how come we don't have that? And I knew my parents could never give that to me. So it instilled that drive. I'm like, this is how I want my life to be. I had that dream kind of imprinted in my head, and I said, this is where I want to be. This is what I want in my life. So I just went for it.
Impressive.
So the journey was, working hard, building the business, structuring that, and every day, little by little, just, you don't think, you just do. And you have that with a clear vision of how you want your life to kind of look like. It almost was like second nature to just work for it.
I love that you have it in you to be a go-getter and get things done. So please tell us a little bit more about your mindset.
Oh, I think positivity is everything, right? So one motto that I have is the one thing you can control is really your attitude. Absolutely. Right? So everything else around you basically don't have much control, but it's how you confront, how your attitude is in confrontation to everything that's around you, that's going to make you a success. It's going to create the positivity or the negativity, right? Because you wake up with a shitty attitude one morning, what's going to happen? Everything around you becomes negative. But
Yes.
whereas if you become, you embrace it in a different way and you say, okay, you know what? That's not working out, but I still have a good, graceful attitude towards whatever the situation is. Things just kind of line up and they fall where they need to be. So it's positivity, I think, creating a positive vibe and making sure that you have a positive community around you, where it's your friends, your family, etc., so that you always have a cycle of positivity.
Absolutely.
Right? So that everything around you then becomes easier because you have positive people that are reinforcing you. One day, if you're down, that positive person is going to help you, elevate you, and get you to a better level. So definitely it's that cycle of positivity.
Do you have any habits that you practice to maintain yourself in a very happy state?
Oh yes, lots. I exercise often, right? I walk a lot. I give myself time, me time.
Me time.
I'm very selfish with me time, because I'm a mom, because I'm a businesswoman, because I'm out there all the time. I think that routine that I carry, where it's okay, morning is about the kids, and then I'll listen to the financial news because I'm still very much in depth. I like to know what's going on in the business world and everything around me and politics and so forth. So I listen to that, and then I go to the gym, and then I begin to work, whether it's like your events or art, or I'm in the studio that day. It depends, right? And then I'm back to different routines. So I wear like different hats every day, but I give myself a little bit of time for me once a week at least.
Yes.
Where it's like I turn off everything. No Instagram.
That's important.
And I just do whatever it is that I want to do, whether it's I'm gardening, I'm at the beach, I am creating anything. Whatever, it's my time, it's me time.
I love it. Your motto is simplicity is the truest form of beauty. Please tell us more about that.
Sure. I believe that very much. Simple things in life are the things that you enjoy most. So both in my art and in life, right? For example, in art, when I try and capture an emotion, it's an emotion, it's that simple moment in life. Let's say like you're looking at someone and all of a sudden you're in love. It's that simplicity, that very, very moment that's so simple and so easy to capture, so easy to understand, not easy to capture. That's what I try to then journal and then create into an art form, right? Into a sculpture. But it's that simple, very, very simple moment that I try to create the essence of in art. And when I'm creating the art, I do believe simplicity is elegant and it's classic. So when I'm creating my art, I also love to keep it simple. Like I don't want a complex creations because I think it takes away from. So that's what I mean when simplicity is the truest form of beauty.
And how do you define success?
I define success in kind of in different tiers. For example, I'm a successful mom. I'm a mom of 3, so I feel that's one of the highlights of my life. I'm a successful community member. I think I love to add as much as I can to the arts and culture and people around me, right? So I find that one tier of success. And then, of course, as an artist, it's a different success. It's more of a personal success, right?
Yes.
So in each tier, success can be looked at in a different way.
Attention, listeners! Don't forget to leave us a review to help this podcast grow. You can also subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and Spotify to keep up with the latest episodes. And now, thank you so much for flying the Unstoppable Immigrant airwaves, and let's get back to the show.
Ada, you are an award-winning sculptor and philanthropist, recognized for your work and featured in numerous prestigious publications. Your art and generosity continues to leave a lasting impact on both the creative world and the communities you serve. So, your definition of art is to evoke emotions through the expressions of elegance and beauty. How do you hope that people feel when they experience your sculptures?
Well, the one goal is always to see if I successfully was able to evoke that specific emotion I was trying to portray, right? So whether it's the emotion of love, when they see it, do they feel that, right? Or if it's the emotion of curiosity. All of those are really what I'm trying to do when I create this piece, right? And in the process of creating it, all the molding and the changes that I make really are always tailored to trying to make sure that when somebody else sees it, they're able to feel exactly what it is that I was feeling at that moment.
Wow.
And they can really connect with it.
And why art at the first place?
It's always been a passion.
Always been a passion.
Yes.
And you choose bronze as your primary medium to create sculptures. Mm-hmm. Why?
Bronze is timeless. It's something that it will literally stand the test of time. It will be here today. It will be here when my great-grandkids are around.
That's beautifully said. I might cry. Okay, what role does travel or journaling play in your artistic expressions?
Oh, everything. I try and journal all of the different emotions that I feel. Mm-hmm. Whether it's like an amazing happy day because all these exciting fun things are happening, because a lot of my art is actually like really fun, like mm-hmm. It's joyous, it's creative, it's spontaneous, it's fun. So I try and journal all of the experiences that I have, the fun ones, the emotional ones, even the not so fun ones. All of that I try and journal because that's the emotion that I want to portray as an artist, right? It's that creativity that I will then create into a work of art. So every time I journal, especially when I travel, I have a lot more time, free time, so I have my journal with me everywhere. I'm picking up different ideas from the things that I'm seeing, all of the emotions, the day, everything I wanted to do, and then I'll start doing little sketches of how I think I can create this emotion in an abstract form. And then from there, when I get back, I go into the studio and then I start drafting or creating different molds and different ideas on how to do that. It's a process, right? But journaling starts with, it's so important because that's where I am able to create that or stamp that emotion, that moment in time where I felt that. If I don't write it down, I might forget. Mm-hmm. So.
You previously mentioned the timeless elegance. So what does timeless elegance mean to you in the context of your work?
Well, it's very much a part of my personality. Mm-hmm. When I'm creating an art, I want it to be aesthetically pleasing to me first, right? As the artist, I'm creating art, right? Of course, for my audience, but really it's about creating it as my outlet for those emotions. So when I'm creating something, my aesthetics are that very classic, clean look, and that's what I want to have as my art. So I label it as timeless elegance because once it's in bronze, and the pieces are always very slender and sleek and very Very classic, elegant, yeah. They can both belong like in a modern home and in a
Spanish mansion.
yeah, or Mediterranean home,
Yes.
anything like that. Or I mean, of course, I have them all over in public works as well, so they're all over. They work everywhere, right? So timeless means it's relevant today and it'll be relevant hopefully 150 years from now.
It will. What advice would you give to young immigrants artists?
Well, one advice that I love to give to artists is just trust yourself. Yes. Trust yourself, your passion, and how you create speaks to who you are. The more you continue doing the same thing over and over again, the more you believe in yourself, that's when you're going to make it. It's when artists start changing their style because certain things are selling more, or this artist is more popular than that artist, and people start kind of tweaking their essence. Mm-hmm. That's where I think artists kind of lose their value, their strength, because as an artist, you're appreciated because of your uniqueness.
Absolutely, and recognized too.
Exactly. So that's always the advice I give. Just if this is your style, stick to your style.
How do your roles as a mother, entrepreneur, and artist interact and influence each other?
Goodness, I think every day I wear those hats multiple times a day. So, I mean, it's like the morning you're mom, the afternoon you're an entrepreneur, and at night you're an artist, or vice versa. Some days I'm an artist for 3 days because I'll lock myself in the studio to work. So it really depends, but all of it really just like when it comes to family, my kids support me in my artistic roles. Like they'll be there with me. They understand if I have to work. They come and they help me.
Oh, that's lovely.
And as an entrepreneur, because I have a financial and business background, creating a business in art has been a little bit easier. So I see things differently. I plan ahead. I actually have formal business plans, right? And I make sure I hit certain goals every single month, every single year, to make sure that I can say, okay, these are the goals that have been set, these are the goals that have been met, and this is where you can grow, right? And I teach that to my kids too. It's not because they see like, oh, mom's an artist. Yeah, but art is a business.
Absolutely.
Right? I show them like, these are the goals. Let's see, have we met those goals? Okay, let's write the next goals and things like that. So all of that really just merges into life because you're one with your kids, your business. You want to teach them as you're growing as well, both in business and as an artist.
So from my understanding, you are also your own headquarters, right? Like you do everything from the business standpoint of being an artist yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Because that's not very common, I would say. A lot of artists are mainly focused on creating, but you are also the business mind, which is very unique.
Well, I have an idea, right? Like you have a vision and you know exactly what that vision of success is, right? And that's what you had asked me before. What is that goal of success? And it's going to be different for everyone. But for me, it's like, okay, I don't see my success until I have my sculptures literally all around the world.
Yes.
So based on your business plan and your goals, like, okay, well, how are you going to achieve that? Well, this is how you get there. And you slowly but surely work your way there. And then like, because I'm an immigrant, I really have no fear. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is it doesn't happen. But why not try?
Love, 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 love it. What do you believe is the artist's responsibility in contributing to the cultural life of their community?
Oh, as an artist, you definitely have to be contributing to the culture. That's actually one of the passions that I have. It's one of the goals I have is to really just to help advance the culture here in Miami locally. So I'm part of boards for that reason and trying just to help. I try and help different artists by giving them placement in different areas so that they are able to get more exposure. I try and help with the cultural boards and like planning and different events and creating more cultural hubs and reasons for people to come out and enjoy arts, culture, dance, music, fine arts, etc. So that's definitely one of my passions today.
What is your vision for the future of arts and culture in Miami? And how are you helping to bring the vision to life?
My vision, well, I would love to see art everywhere.
Yes.
We should have, I mean, we have the most beautiful parks. Miami as a city is stunning.
Yes,
We really
agreed.
don't have enough art out there for public works, for public people to come and see and enjoy. It's just not enough of it. So one of the things that I would love to do and see is our community really grow in that sense. Making sure that our elected officials know that they need to have more art. They have been doing some things, but it's just, I'm trying to just do what I can to kind of plant one seed at a time, talk to as many people as I can to say, hey, how can I help? What can I do? You know, here's my idea. I try and share an idea. You know, that's where you plant a seed. You know, we know that this theater company can come out and play here in public and kind of bring more of the of our community out, right? Not just to enjoy art, physical art, right, fine art outside, but to enjoy the cultural part of the arts, which is theater, dance, etc. They should be out there all the time. So that's really what I like to push for, is trying to have a little bit more of that readily available. I mean, I would love to see the city grow in the culture as far as like New York City. Like, we can be bigger, we can be better.
Absolutely. So, how have your roles on cultural and museum boards influenced your perspective as an artist and cultural contributor?
Well, I now get to see the behind the scenes. I get to see students and their incredible artistic abilities. And I'm able to kind of understand from the background and help kind of place them in different locations so that they can grow as artists. And as they grow as artists, I think the whole community benefits because we get to enjoy that art.
That's very impressive. What initiatives or projects have you been most proud of to support through your community work?
Oh goodness, there's one. There's so many. Every time that I love to help, like with a charity, I see the impact immediately. At the end, when you have that final meeting and you say, okay, you raised, $700,000 in one day. You're like, wow, I had a little seed planted there. I did something special. I did something that definitely doesn't help me. It helps our community as a whole. And anytime I'm able to help in that sense, that's where really it brings a lot of joy.
It's a fulfillment, right?
Absolutely.
Personal fulfillment. In what ways do you see public art and sculpture shaping the identity of Miami?
Well, imagine how much fun it would be to see Cuban art everywhere, right? I know Miami is a very mixed cultural city, but I wouldn't mind if it was all Cuban. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But we need more of it. we need some more interesting projects and even public works or even private communities, developments, etc., to really start kind of creating some kind of, art walks or different. And there's so many different ideas. I can go on and on about with creative ideas of things that can be done, but I think both publicly and privately, there should be some kind of talks of how to create a way to add more art and give our local artists more opportunities to exhibit.
Agree. How do you use your voice and platform on these boards to advocate for underrepresented artists?
Oh, I do that all the time. So I invite them to all of the events. So all of these incredible talents that we have in Miami that are very underrepresented, I invite them to come and exhibit often. Probably every single time I host an event, I try and bring different artists that aren't out there to come and exhibit. So that's something I've always loved to do.
I love about you that you are more about collaboration than competition, given your answers. So that's beautiful that you are that type of artist who invites others and gives others opportunity, because that's just a beautiful personality that you have.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. The more you give, the more you receive, right? I know it's cliche, but that's the reality. And in art, we all help each other and nobody is taking from anyone, right?
That's
so
awesome.
The more you give, it's a cycle, like we talked about before. It's like a cycle of positivity. The more you give, the more you're going to receive, and that cycle of positivity is always there. And why not? If somebody can grow and you can have something to do with it, I mean, that for me that's success, right? Doesn't have to be my personal success, but their success will also make me very happy.
Yay. What does it mean to you to be a cultural ambassador for your city through both your art and your community work?
Well, it's definitely a passion. Creating a sense of the fact that I know that I'm adding to the culture and the community, and being able to give a new platform for artists to grow. That to me is everything, right? Not only because I get the fulfillment of seeing artists grow, but I also see the fulfillment in seeing the city grow and become more beautiful. Because at the end of the day, what is art for if not embellishment? And if we're embellishing our city with art, we're creating more of it. And the more we see, the more beautiful it is. Our city's already stunning, but if we want it to be culturally relevant in this globe, art is the way to get there.
Ada, please tell us more about your current collection.
Yeah, so I just started a new series. It's once again based on emotions, right? But it's a new whole different take on it, where I'm incorporating the sails into it as part of my very unique touch on freedom and flow and vulnerability, beauty, all of it. So I can't wait to actually showcase this soon. There'll be a lot of different exhibitions from now till next Art Basel. It's going to be fabulous. I'm really excited about it. I've been working tirelessly for months on it. I'm creating new pieces, not only sculptures, but I'm also doing sculptural wall pieces as well. So
Wow.
that's going to be something new and fun too. And I'm also working on different types of mediums. I'm not sure if they're going to be ready for this particular series, but I am kind of working behind the scenes with different mediums to try and kind of grow a little bit more outside of just the unique sculptures that I do.
Fantastic. How was Art Basel for you?
Oh, it was fabulous, exhausting. It's one of those weeks you don't sleep for a week.
Yeah.
So you kind of just hold your breath and get through it. I think this Art Basel, on average, I had about 4 to 5 events a day between exhibitions and events that I actually had to show up to, events that I was hosting, etc. It was a lot. It was intense. But I did receive the spotlight for Art Basel as one of the the top collectible artists. So that was fun. It was great. It was a fabulous season.
Ada, in your 10 years of being a successful artist, there is one more thing that we can get ready for, and that is that you will be featured in an exclusive episode of a new Netflix series. That's in collaboration with Global Billionaire Magazine, and it's going to be out at the end of 2025. So please tell us more. I'm curious. Listeners are curious. We all want to know.
Yeah, so Netflix was filming this incredible docu-series of women in philanthropy business, very powerful women from Miami and Palm Beach. And I was the artist hosting them. So for the first time, I was able to gather all of my art throughout the city, borrow it for a couple of days, and I placed it all over my home, and I invited about 200 people in collaboration with the magazine, and we hosted this beautiful soiree where Netflix was able to come in and like film it all. My art was literally everywhere, and it was a fabulous event.
Wow, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see it. So, have you always been an artist or you had a different career before artist?
I wish I would have always been an artist. I think I always had a calling for it, but I'm an immigrant. So when I told my parents I wanted to study art, they took out the chancleta. They're like, "Are you kidding me? Like, that's not happening, right?" So no, I went into finance and economics before I ever became an artist.
So, how long have you been in the finance field?
I was in finance for about 15 years.
That's amazing. So, how from finance, how did you change your entire career to art?
Yeah, so I finally had the opportunity not to have to work when I moved to Mexico City. And there I didn't have a visa to work. So I had finally was given the opportunity to do what I wanted to do. So I started studying fine art. Really, I started for myself, never really thinking I was actually going to pursue being an artist. I wanted it for self-fulfillment. So I did that for a number of years, and then I started creating different artworks, and people really took notice. And they're like, "Oh, we really like that. Could we buy it?" I'm like, "No, it's not for sale." Sure enough, I got enough of that I said, "You know what? Let me try and see if I can start creating a series." So I went to work with a lot of different artists behind the scenes in their studios and started learning. I never went to fine art school, right? I studied finance and economics. I didn't really want to go back to a formalized school, so I learned kind of behind the scenes in arts. I learned hands-on how to create different projects and how to do different things, and that's how I learned sculpture, literally in the studios, in the foundries. And like that, I set myself out to create a series that was for commercial sale. Sure enough, once I did the exhibition, it was very successful, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So once again, I put together my business plan, and I set out to create art as an artist, as a career. And and here I am.
How many years have you been an artist?
10 years now.
10 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hello. This is your bright future calling you. What can I do for you today? Dear future, I would like to see my children be huge successes. Then I want to see all of my monumental sculptures all over the world. Your wish is my command.
So we have a bonus questions. They are one-word answers. Are you ready? First question. What's the first thing that comes to mind when someone says America?
Opportunity.
What's the weirdest food you've tried here?
Chapulines.
Chaos.
It's dried grasshoppers.
What American celebrity would you want to be for a day?
American celebrity?
Yes.
It has to be an American celebrity?
Could be worldwide.
Well, because I always want to be Shakira.
Shakira.
Otherwise, I'll be Jennifer Lopez. Or
You like them Latinas, I know.
I like the Latinas that know how to dance. Yeah.
Okay, I take Shakira and J-Lo any moment. And why?
Because they're amazing women that have made it and never took no for an answer. Once you read their stories and you see everything that they have overcome, and despite of that, they are who they are, and they're very authentic still today.
Yes, specifically J-Lo. Her story is everything you just said, and I love it. And I think you are very similar to them, so that's why we like them so much.
Oh, absolutely. I love them.
Yes. Ada, thank you very much for being a part of this podcast and sharing your inspiring artsy story. It's mind-blowing to me what you've been able to achieve, so I'm very proud of you, and I'm sure a lot of listeners can resonate with your story. And yeah, just can't wait to see the Netflix show and can't wait to see you thriving. So thank you again for being here and taking time to be authentic and share your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Yay!
Thank you so much for flying with Unstoppable Immigrant Airwaves. We hope this podcast brought you joy, motivation, inspiration, and connection. Feel free to share this episode with someone who really needs to hear it. And until next time, stay unstoppable!